Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominic Doherty and Drew, aka Funky Fazy.
And we are your local guys.
I had to let it play till the beat dropped for you, Drew. I knew you were
I
just waiting. I knew you were waiting for it. I had to let it
I
let it
was
roll.
toe tapping over here, Dom.
We saw the head nod for all of those of us on YouTube. We saw it. Don't cut yourself short. You know, I think when the new year comes and we get the whole podcast reimagine 2.0 thing going, I know exactly where I'm putting Fazy dancing on the sunset. I know exactly where I'm going to put it.
It'll be an instant classic, dude.
Viral sensation comes to mind immediately when I think of it now. So, speaking of viral sensations, though, oh man, has the past 2 days in Ocean City not been a viral sensation? We've had media from all over the place. People that I know in Philly that I were talking to are like, "Man, you guys are all over the news up here. What's going on down there?" And it went down last night at the
So
Music Pier,
yeah,
aka Ocean City Synagogue.
I got texts and emails too, and I think it's important that we clarify what went down because I got texts saying, "Hey, I heard they approved the hotel. I heard they
No,
voted on the hotel." Um, and in a word, no, that's not what happened. So
it
let's.
was it was as
I think
the
there's people in town who believe that the hotel was approved last night, and
yeah,
there's
it was exactly what the title of the episode is, a baby step forward.
yeah,
Nonetheless, though, it was a much needed step forward for
yes,
everybody here in town.
yes,
Even, well, with the exception of one group, even 2050, their plan needed a zoning change. It needed to go to the zoning board. So it was a step forward for them, too. The only people that really set back are the people who think that amusements are viable there and put out, draconian designs for people to look at and get, you know, enamored about. So anyway, what
you
actually
know,
did happen, Drew?
okay, so here's what happened. The a month and a half, 2 months ago, in addressing the 600 boardwalk parcel, um, council set up an ad hoc committee to review the entirety of the boardwalk, right? Not just that
It's
parcel.
made up of council and the planning board.
Council, yeah, it's got some boardwalk people on there. It's got
Yeah.
some anti-hotel people on there. Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's a group of 9 that some are, you know, very familiar with the boardwalk, some are not, and they're trying to do what's fair for everyone on the boardwalk, right? Um, and it's great, good on them. However,
Yeah, so if you went to the meeting last night, they meet weekly. They're working very hard to figure out, like Drew said, what is best for the boardwalk. So it's
but
not
it
like they're
really
meeting once a
doesn't,
month.
and but it really doesn't move the 600 boardwalk property forward for anything
No,
just by that subcommittee, right?
it does not.
So they they put back on the agenda whether or not city council should send the property to the planning board and get the planning board's recommendation whether or not that parcel should be an area in need of redevelopment. And what that does is if in fact they say it is in need of redevelopment, it comes back to city council and they pass a resolution adopting that. And then that gives city council the ability to negotiate with the property owner for the use and development of the property. So, as Councilman Levchuk said at the city council meeting last night, the owner of the property is a developer hotel owner. So he came out with these grand plans, right, of a big 252 room hotel and have some amusements on. He'll come back to the table, and I'm sure he's advanced that plan in terms of architectural drawings and plot plans and all that. And they can say, okay, well, you said you're going to keep the carousel. You said you're going to keep the Ferris wheel in this location and that location, and you have the little kiddie ride. We would like to see more attraction. So then he says, okay, I'll do this. I won't do that. And they negotiate the entire process. We don't want it to be 7.5 stories. We only want it to be 6.5 stories, or whatever the case may be. But it gives them the chance to negotiate.
So again,
that's the process.
The only thing that happened last night was the planning board can now review the property and make a recommendation to the city council. So when it comes back to city council, the city council is going to say, hey, no, we don't agree. The city council can say, hey, we do agree. Really, it's just this little tiny step forward. It's a cog in the government wheel here at this point. So is the hotel coming to Ocean City? Who knows? That's right.
The hotel was not approved last night.
Yeah.
Very clear.
This is the big thing, though. Is Eustace Mita and his willingness to invest $150 to $170 million in Ocean City still on the table? Yes, it is. That, I think, is the biggest win from last night for everybody, depending on where you stand on all this. That's the biggest
almost not
thing that happened.
Because I think the worst thing that could have happened is sell off the property to one of the two people who have offers on it, which are both developers, not hotel developers, not amusement park developers. They're residential developers. Then we're sitting with that property, because that would be a huge fight.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting with the property dark for a long, long time.
Well, I mean, we still have the property dark. Looking at it, most likely it's going to be dark again in the summer of 2026. The only hope is that potentially somebody, whoever it may be, has put up a plywood fence with a picture of the building. Hey, here's what's coming.
Right.
That's the only hope at this point. When you look at what led to this decision, what led to this change, because in August when they voted, it was 6-1. The only person that voted in favor of it at the time was Councilman Madden. Now, all of a sudden, you've had 3 councilmen flip their vote, and it passes. From what I gathered, because I was there live streaming the end, I got there just in time, Drew. I heard there were 84 people that stood up for public comment. I showed up as number 84 finished their comment.
Did you really?
It was.
I sat through the first part of it, and seeing that list, I couldn't sit through all of the comments.
Yeah,
I just couldn't do it.
So I sat down, and everybody started clapping because it was the last person. And it was funny because the councilman started to give their explanation. And from the ones, the 3 that voted no, Barnes, Hartzell, and Winslow, they wanted to see the committee all the way through until the committee got all the way to their decision. And the committee said that it would have a decision sometime in the spring of 2026. So you're talking about another 4 to 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
until the committee was finished. They felt that was the fastest process. The problem was, though, was that from the press conference earlier that day, or earlier on Wednesday, I don't even, their days all run
The day
together at this
before
point.
it was on
The day
Wednesday.
before was after the original no vote, Mr. Mina said, "All right, I'll give you guys 60 days." He went past the 60 days. 60 days would have been November 15th, as he stated numerous times. He let it go all the way to December 5th. So he gave us, 75 days. And at that point, if we weren't going to move forward, or we weren't going to move in any direction, not necessarily with his project, if the property was still going to stay as is with no consideration from the planning board, then he was out. He was done. He was going to sell. So now, who knows how long it's going to take the planning board to make this decision. I'd imagine it's probably on their agenda for their next meeting to take a look at it and review it. I'm sure they're going to want to do their due diligence. Excuse me. A lot of people from the planning board are on the subcommittee, so they already have a lot of information. So I don't feel that it's going to take too long for the planning board to come to some sort of resolution here.
Eustace Mida estimated under 60 days.
Well,
that was his estimate.
He likes to move fast, and if there's one thing I've learned,
it's not a government body.
Yeah, is that the government in any form moves like molasses.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? He's in for now. If the planning board starts to drag his feet, how many millions of dollars can this guy throw at this?
Right.
Like
so
how many?
The vote last night ended up being 4 in favor, 3 against.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that as of 2 days ago, it was 3 in favor and 4 against. And I don't know what turned the no vote into a yes vote, but I would have to imagine that the business community, the entire business community, was pressuring every one of those city councilmen, right, to move forward.
I wouldn't say pressuring them. They were just putting their opinion out there. They were doing things that you don't usually see from them.
The press
you don't
conference.
see the press conference. I can't remember the last time the business associations had a press conference. I can't remember the last time that downtown weighed in a little bit on the school board. The Boardwalk merchants, though, they don't weigh in on anything political. They just they run their boardwalk, they do their thing, and that's what they do.
But that was, that was meant to be pressure, right? They were applying pressure to city council. I have to say, of all the speakers last night, a lot of good thoughts and a lot of good opinions on both sides.
You're talking from council, or you're talking from the public comment?
Public comment.
Okay.
Mark Robb, the Robb family, their corporation, is the largest landholder on the boardwalk. And 2 of their buildings that hold, I think it's 8 total. I could be wrong about that. 8 different stores. That's one of their buildings lost half of their tenants at the end of the summer because the tenants did not want to come back because that end of the boardwalk was and they haven't been able to fill them. And from what he said and what I understand up and down the boardwalk is if a store opens up for rent, it's rented like that. It never sits, not for a minute. There's a waiting list, and they're not able to fill their stores. And Mark was really emotional and passionate in pleading with the city council that to treat this with way more urgency than some of those council people were treating it. that they wanted the process to continue, and just kicking the can down the road, as someone said. And at the at,
I
he
don't,
was
I don't, I don't know if they're kicking the can down the road. I think it's such a pivotal decision in the future of Ocean City that if they feel rushed and it turns out not to be the right decision, it's on their hands, like they're the councilman that did that, like I don't know if it's necessarily like, hey, I'm just going to push this off to the next guy. It's more like I need more facts, kind of like what Jody did, like Jody said in August he didn't have his due diligence, he didn't have his facts, he's busy running his stores, and now like, hey, I've had some time to look at some stuff and see some things, and I saw what the summer of 2025 bought, and yeah, I got to really look at this differently now, and I have the facts I need to confidently say like, all right, hey, we got to move forward here. We can't keep stalling this guy.
Well, that's what I mean. Is not kicking the can down, or is moving forward. And 3 councilmen did not see that need, and four now do. So I thought Mark was great. And the other,
when I think kicking the can down the road, I think like, oh yeah, here I'm gonna wait until someone else picks this up like later. So that was my, that's my millennial take on that expression. I don't know what your take is on it.
Well, I think
something different
boomers.
for you. You were probably actually kicking the can down the road at one point, Drew.
I kicked the can was one of the greatest games of my youth. If you haven't played kick the can, you have not lived a full life, my friend.
Well, I'll get my kids out there on Simpson Avenue, and we'll be kicking the can here next week. What kind of can do
you don't even know how to play kick the can.
I have no clue.
You're thinking you're kicking the can down the street. That's not what kick the can is. But that's, what, maybe we should do a show on playing kick the
can. Again, viral sensations are galore here today.
Yes.
Viral sensations galore.
Getting back on topic for a second. So the other speaker, public speaker.
I got a can right here. Will this work, or do we need a different can? This is aluminum. You guys probably played with steel. You played with steel.
You need a juice can that you open with a can opener.
Oh man. Oh. I don't even know if those exist anymore.
So the other public speaker that was public commenter that was I found very interesting was Eustace Mita's attorney, and he kind of laid out.
I saw him walking in. I'm like, you look like an attorney.
Yeah, he does look like an attorney.
Yeah, I'm like, you got business here, don't you, buddy?
Yeah. A couple things that he said were really interesting. That the let's say that the planning board approves the area for redevelopment. Eustace Mita comes to the council with his redevelopment plan, and they don't like it. They don't have to approve it. They negotiate, and if at the end of the day the property owner is not willing to do something that council finds satisfactory, they don't have to approve it. So they have that control. He also said, and this was there's a guy down at the South End who's screaming about this every day, that he's not going to pay taxes. And Eustace Mita's attorney made clear, and I heard Eustace say this before, that he will not seek $1 in tax abatements. He's not going to ask for tax abatements. So I found that to be interesting.
It's funny because Barnes said that he was seeking some sort of pilot deal.
So he suggested he suggested that, but what all that means is that it's not a tax abatement. Meaning, in the city of Philadelphia, if you build an apartment building, you are given a tax abatement for 10 years, meaning you don't pay taxes for the first 10 years beginning the day that you receive the CO. That's what is being suggested that META is going to get, is a 10-year or a 30-year, I heard someone say, tax
Yeah, I remember
abatement.
that.
Yeah. He is saying that's not the case. Now, the pilot program, he would pay full tax. He would pay 95%. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a real estate development lawyer. I'm telling you what I understand. He would
For
pay
entertainment purposes only.
That's right. He would pay 95% of the rateable of the true tax, which would go directly to the city. He would not pay that other additional tax, including tax money to the county and tax money to the school.
Okay.
So that's what we're talking about. Not Eustace Mita getting a 30-year tax abatement where he doesn't pay any taxes. That attorney made that very clear last night.
So the school tax,
and that's all. Again, that's all negotiable,
yeah.
Right? So if the city council said, "Well, we don't think that's fair. We want you to pay school tax," then that can be negotiated.
So, all right, let's have some fun here in the last few minutes. Let's say the planning board says, "Hey, this is an area in need of redevelopment." City board approves it. Eustace Mita comes back with his original design, his 250 room hotel with the carousel and the Ferris wheel, which, if you know anything about that Ferris wheel, I don't know. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because
right.
people are going to jump down my throat if I tell the truth. What do you come back to him at city council and say, "Hey, this is our ideal situation here"?
Well, I think personally, you asking me personally, I would want
You personally.
a percentage of area deed restricted, a percentage of property to be amusements, and a percentage of the area to be public space. Public space meaning, as he suggested, it doesn't have to be this particular item, but as he suggested, was sitting areas with fire pits and music. So I think and the reason I'm saying both of those things is because, the debate is whether that hotel will be a draw to the north end or not. So I think you have to incorporate into the design and deed restricted, so it always has to be there. Area of amusements and areas of public space. And I think he did that, but maybe in his original plan, in the way back original plan. But I think that needs to be in this concept, and I think it needs to be in this concept for almost anybody to support it. Right? Yeah, I don't think anybody's supporting hotels, or not many people are supporting the hotel. It's the entirety of the project. Wes Kasbark and Caitlin Quirk both said that their organization's support is contingent upon those things, and I would feel the same way. But how do you how does the city make sure that happens? Well, you deed restrict it. You demand that before shovel goes into the dirt, that a certain percentage of the lot is used for amusements and a percentage of the lot is used for public space. How about you?
So,
same question back at you.
I'm with you in that. I don't know real estate as well as you do to go as far as to say deed restrict. I would agree with that, though. There has to be.
That might not even be the right term. It might not be a deed restriction, but I believe it is.
That's something that the big argument that everybody has is that this is not an attraction. it's not going to draw people down there.
Right.
Whatever's negotiated, I think, to has to draw people down there. So I think having, excuse me, some sort of amusements, whether it's a ride, an arcade, um, some sort of retail, like a higher end retail, maybe some national brands, things like that. That might not make everybody on the boardwalk happy, but something like that. Um, Definitely open public spaces where people can go and who aren't guests and still enjoy the atmosphere. And the other thing that I would want to see is events that are accessible to the public, or like think the Congress Hall Christmas tree, think the ice skating rink at Renault Winery, think things like that that will bring people to that area year round. And that's really what I would hope. I would also say
That's a
too that
great idea.
like that to me, like if you're calling this a luxury resort hotel, then make it a resort. Make it a resort where the people that come and stay, yeah, they have maybe a little bit more carte blanche than the public. It's open to the public though. The public can come and there's areas where they can enjoy the amenities. I know he talked about having one of the pools be open at one point. I know he had talked about a bowling center, things like that where, it doesn't have to be completely open to the public all the time. Maybe you have hours like, hey, here's public bowling time. But I mean, how many people are bowling when they're on vacation? You
Right.
know, um, I'd like to see some, uh, maybe some like rooftop access at some point available to the public as well too, to get that vantage point where you can like look down the boardwalk and look out over the town. I think those are always cool views, especially, the Ferris wheel. If it does manage to maintain its place on that property, it's not going to work. So you're kind of losing that vantage point. So kind of having that back would be pretty neat. I also think that 7 stories is too much. I think maybe you go 4 stories,
Well, you have to make
and
it viable, though, right? You have to give them enough rooms to make the hotel profitable. I'm
well,
not saying that. I'm not
yeah,
saying I'm not disagreeing with you, but I
no,
think
but I mean, I
maybe there's
think,
a compromise there.
yeah, I think you got to find some sort of compromise in there where, you're not
I don't think
totally over.
7 stories is too big, personally.
Well,
When
the
you
neighborhood. I will say this: the neighborhood behind it is a really cool neighborhood. You're not going to find those houses anywhere else on the island. There's some really, really, special. It's a neat little area of the town, and you don't want to totally overshadow it with a giant building. So finding some sort of middle ground, common ground, where like, hey, can you be profitable at 5? Can you be profitable at 4? Um, because there are things that I think need to go in there too, like a conference room, that does more than just weddings, something that can bring in professional associations. Atlantic City survives on conventions.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty small. Like they're not giant conventions. They're not like the school board convention or the League of Municipalities convention. You have small little conventions that could theoretically, with the right space, come here. So, but I know a lot of people on conventions like to booze it up, so that's not really an option. But you know, again, I think the big thing is that everybody's biggest concern is there's got to be a draw. There's got to be
Yeah.
something in that property and some pieces of that property that make people want to go down there
Yep.
past the first couple years, because the first couple years people are going to go down there just to see it. And I'll take it one step further. Be a part of the community. Like, don't just be the hotel that's down there. Like, be a part of the community. Like the Flanders. The Flanders hosts banquets for everybody. Like every organization in town, they all go to the Flanders for banquets. Like, do that kind of
And they
stuff.
do a great job.
Yeah, like be a member of the community, have events like, you got breakfast with Santa at the Flanders, like have these kind of events for people that bring the public in, and that might draw people to town that weren't coming to town. So
Host and sponsor a hospitality track for the high school.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, we'll see though. We'll see. There's a lot
The
of
first step has been accomplished.
yes, and
So
it's a wee itty bitty step.
yeah.
Think of it like this. It's like a baby walking, right? We went from laying on our belly, we pushed ourselves up, and now we took our first step.
Yeah.
So
and quick shout out to all 7 of those council people.
yes,
the reason I would
amen to
never
them.
want to be a city councilman was showcased the past 2 weeks. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with the emails and the texts and the phone calls. They were just absolutely bombarded. And you're right; it was a big decision, and it was on their shoulders. And I think they did a great job.
I was walking off the boardwalk after the meeting with one of them, and I was just talking, and we just were back and forth, and I said, you know what, like, I have a lot of respect for you guys for having to go through all this. And, it was kind of like what you said. Ultimately, at the end, you have to, look at yourself, why you took this role. And, you got to lay your head down at the end of the night and be able to go to sleep and say, hey, I held true to my intentions of my service time. So,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. The office can always interrupt me. It's a great show. But yeah, you got to put your head on the pillow at the end of the night and do what you think is best for your constituents, and that's what you do. So, but we will see. I do not want to be on the planning board now, because I'm sure the planning board's inbox is on fire today. But we'll all take this little. And we'll take a deep breath and a sigh. And at least we have some momentum. Something will come of this, and we'll be here.
There's some hope for that end of the boardwalk.
There is, and we'll be here to tell you all about it along the way. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. We always appreciate your support. This has been the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. Peace.
Peace.
Beat's really hitting now, Drew. I'm surprised you didn't ask for a discotheque in there.